Have you ever been told that something is just impossible? Well, today we're going to talk about the incredible story of a baseball player who heard that his entire life and then went on to prove everybody wrong. This is the story of Jim Abbott. This quote really gets to the heart of Jim Abbott's journey. It wasn't just about what he did for himself, but it was about how he inspired so many other people. We're going to see how the heroes in his own life helped shape the hero he would later become. So our story starts, but not on a baseball field like you might think. Nope. It starts in a third-grade classroom. And the big challenge? It wasn't some high-speed fastball. It was just a simple shoelace. So right from the start, this was the challenge he faced every single day. And, a reality like that could have set his limits for him. But instead, it actually became the fuel for his incredible creativity. I mean, we've all had those frustrating or embarrassing moments as kids, right? But for Jim, a simple untied shoelace, that was more than just an annoyance. It was this constant public reminder that he was different, and it made him a target for teasing. So every single time his laces came undone, his whole day would just stop. He had to rely completely on other people for help. But that was about to change, and it was all thanks to the very first hero in his story. And this is where his teacher stepped in. But here's the key. Instead of just tying the shoe for him, he showed Jim a way to do it himself. He didn't just see a problem that needed fixing. He saw a chance to empower his student. This was a total game changer. That teacher's solution was just a perfect example of creativity. He didn't just stick with the old way of doing things. He came up with a whole new method that was perfect for Jim's situation. And really, that's what creativity is all about, looking at a problem and finding a brand new way forward.
But that creative idea, that was only the beginning. Jim still had to put in the work, practicing over and over and over until he totally mastered it. And with that one small victory, he didn't just become more independent. He basically planted the seed for every single success that was going to come later.
All right, so let's see how this all builds. Because Jim took that little seed of an idea that you can solve problems with creativity and hard work, and he applied it to this huge, seemingly impossible dream. Baseball. I mean, it's a sport that pretty much demands two hands. You can just imagine the doubt he faced. People were telling him it was impossible, that he should pick a different sport. But he had already learned a really important lesson, that the word impossible is usually just a problem that's waiting for a creative solution. So this was the big puzzle, right? To pitch, you need a throwing hand. To field, you need a glove hand. How could one person possibly do both, especially at the lightning-fast speed of a professional game? So, working with his dad, Jim came up with this really unique solution. It was almost like a dance, this smooth, super fast motion that turned what everyone saw as a disadvantage into this incredible skill. He didn't just figure out a way to play the game, he kind of reinvented a part of it. But coming up with the move was only half the battle. The real magic was in the execution, and that came from just relentless practice. Hour after hour, it was just Jim, a ball, and a brick wall. And to get his speed perfect, he'd even move closer to the wall, which gave him even less time to react. I mean, that is pure dedication. And that brings us to the second key ingredient here, persistence. It's really the engine that makes creativity work. Without all those endless hours of practice, that Abbott switch would have just been a clever idea. Persistence is what turned it into a reality. So when you look at it, what were the real ingredients for his success? Well, it wasn't just his own effort. He had a creative mentor who empowered him, he had supportive parents who encouraged him, and this is a big one, he had his own inner courage to even try what pretty much everyone else was calling impossible. So, he had the creativity, he had the persistence, and he had the support. Let's take a look at where all of that took him, because he went from just being a player to becoming a real hero for other people. And there it is, the dream realized. In 1988, he made it to the very highest level of the sport. He didn't just get to play, he was competing against the best baseball players in the entire world. But he didn't just make it to the major leagues. He was amazing. He threw a no-hitter, which is one of the rarest things you can do in baseball, and he did it for the legendary New York Yankees. That achievement put him in some seriously elite company. He wasn't just an inspiring story anymore, he was a star pitcher. And this brings us right back to that idea we started with, the hero who inspires others. See, just like his teacher showed him a new way,
Jim now spends his time showing kids who are facing their own challenges that there is always a way forward. He's passing that lesson on.
His whole story really leaves us with a simple but super powerful message. It all starts with the courage to just try. Then you use your creativity to find your own unique path. And finally, you make it all happen with good old-fashioned hard work. That's pretty much the formula for solving the impossible. So in the end, Jim Abbott's story isn't just about baseball. It's really a blueprint for tackling any obstacle that comes your way. So we'll just leave you with this question to think about. What challenge in your life seems impossible right now? And how could you maybe face it with just a little more courage and creativity?